ultimately it is the parents' fault. They never brought him to the doctor. He went to the doctor one time as a 7-year-old, which is insane, right? They had no conceptualization of what is he doing? Why is this bad? As much as like it's good to get her out of the home, foster care is diabolical. One thing that really grinds my gears is body positivity. Now, not saying that everybody has to be jacked and shredded and look absolutely immaculate 24/7. What I'm saying is it's the kind of body positivity that supports being obese and extremely overweight, the kind that is very clearly not healthy and doesn't lead to a healthy life. It doesn't support you living better, doing things that you love. It doesn't give you opportunity. It, in fact, inhibits you doing most things that people would love to do and want to do for themselves. So when I saw this article today, it just triggered something in me. It triggered something, and I was reading it and I was going through it and I was like, what am I looking at here? The title reads, Parents Charged with Murder in Death of 7-year-old Boy Son Who Weighed 255 pounds. The child was 4 feet 2 inches tall, weighing 255 pounds. Now, I don't know if I need to spell it out for you, but that's obese. And that is extremely obese for a 7-year-old child to weigh more than most grown men. The parents of 7-year-old Michigan boy who weighed 255 pounds, or for those of you who aren't operating on freedom units, that is 116 kilograms, when he died, have been charged with murder, torture, and child abuse, prosecutors said. Clearly, the parents were feeding the child improperly, to say the least, said the county prosecutor. He wasn't getting the nutrition he needed. And this is actually a really interesting point because there's this conundrum that happens with obese individuals where they are overfed but undernourished. They simply are eating too many calories but not providing their body anything that it actually needs of substance. And this is something I harp on a lot too, but your body needs, there's 150 essential nutrients, right? Every day. And the majority of, even you, if you are tracking your nutrients, the majority of you are probably deficient in at least 1 to 2 things. And it's really easy to like go into, let's say, Chronometer and check your micronourishment, which I highly recommend doing, right? Plug all your diet into Chronometer and just see where are the gaps in your current diet. So you have these people who are eating an abundance of food, but still not providing their body with really anything of value. And it causes a shit ton of problems and it perpetuates the issues with being obese. Casper O'Brien died last November after first responders were called to the family's home in Flint because he stopped breathing, prosecutors said. His parents, Damian O'Brien, 40 years old, and Jessica O'Brien, 41, have been charged with second-degree murder, torture, and 3 accounts of second-degree child abuse. The couple are held with no bond in jail in Genesee County, about an hour drive northwest of Detroit. A probable cause hearing is set for Thursday. The child, who was 4 feet 2 inches or 128 centimeters tall, again, for those of you who don't enjoy the freedom units, was medically classified as obese, according to the Genesee County Medical Examiner's report. His cause of death was listed as dilated cardiomyopathy, with his weight being a contributing condition. It's actually very similar to what can happen in bodybuilders, but we're talking about like 30-plus-year-old bodybuilders here, not 7-year-old children. Dilated cardiomyopathy is a disease where essentially your heart, the left ventricle, enlarges and stops effectively being capable of pumping the correct amount of blood, more or less. Essentially, it stretches, it gets thinner, it becomes less able to do what it needs to do. This leads to heart failure, arrhythmias, blood clots, and certainly a lack of capacity to move, for instance. Now, this is important because in a healthy individual, which I'm actually making a video about a fitness influencer who recently had an event similar to what this kid likely went through, in a healthy individual, this means that they can still move and do things, but it's at an extremely restricted pace. They maybe be able to go for walks, but they'll be out of breath on those walks. Essentially, their heart is so ineffective at pumping that they are restricted by just nature of their heart to do much of anything. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, especially especially if you're an obese individual, because now your heart is incapable of supplying your body the blood it needs, and therefore you're incapable of moving and doing things. But if you think about this realistically, it's like if in a healthy person, they are reduced to activity that is very light in walking and they're out of breath in that capacity, you take an unhealthy person who's already obese and give them something like this, and they literally become incapable of moving because them just getting out of bed is a struggle that could literally risk their life. And what's scary is the signs of this happening aren't easy to glance over. I wanted to take a moment out of today's video and talk about one of our sponsors, me. I talk about performance and safety a lot on this channel, obviously. And if your hormones are in the shitter or your health is deteriorated, there is no concept you're aware of that is related to performance. That's why I made our clinic On Wellness. This is a hormone clinic that I own and run. And I built it because I was tired of seeing, well, all of the things that we talk about on this channel. Steroid abuse, people ordering random things from China. We covered a video where we talked about the contamination of oils ordered from China, or teenagers running protocols that they just have no idea what they're doing to themselves. At On Wellness, we focus on optimizing hormones and peptides to get you the best possible results. These are US made products prescribed to you by medical professionals. We order you labs, we walk through the results with you one-on-one, and develop protocols that are shipped directly to your door. There's no illegal nonsense, there's no one-size-fits-all TRT protocol, it's no BS. And we also work with men and women who have a past of abusing steroids. If you've blasted and ruined your own natural production or just your health systemically, we aim to fix the problem. I'm personally obsessed about health markers and being safe clinically. I mean, I pull my labs religiously, even though I'm not on anything anymore, because I think it really does matter. So the labs that we're getting and the health analysis that we do is beyond what any clinic out there is doing right now. If you're looking for a non-judgmental, real service that's also affordable, On Wellness may be a good fit for you. You can hit the link down below to work with us at On Wellness. You'll get real labs, real clinician insight, a real custom-made protocol for you, and medication shipped directly to your door. Now back to today's video. They're not something that you just miss, right? They're very evident. Shortness of breath that is extreme, swelling, edema, which the problem is when you're this obese, it's like, how do you tell what's just the obesity and what's actually like heart failure? But mainly it's like the heart palpitations, rapid fluttering or tachycardia, where your heart rate is chronically elevated, or you have chronically up heart rate where it's like super elevated in one moment and then it comes way down, and then you have this chest pain and dizziness all the time, and it's like very clinically evident. And it's obvious here that the parents did nothing. Like they did nothing for this kid. That's old. It's just disgusting.
Degree murder following the death of their 7-year-old Casper, their son. He was 50 inches tall and weighed 255 pounds when he died.
On the face of it, this is cruel and extreme suffering from this child caused by the neglect of the parents.
40-year-old Damien O'Brien and his wife, 41-year-old Jessica O'Brien, face the same charges in connection with the death of their 7-year-old son Casper. The most serious charge, second-degree murder. Flint Township Police came to this home on Dania on November 4th, 2025 for a report of a child in distress. Casper was taken to Hurley Medical Center, where he died a short time later. Medical reports indicate he weighed 255 pounds at the time of his death.
And then you also have the fact that this child did not have a pediatrician, was only taken to the doctor, I believe, according to the police reports, once.
The cause of death was dilated cardiomyopathy, which causes heart failure, with a contributing cause being morbid obesity. The CDC lists a healthy weight for a 7-year-old boy that is 50.5 inches tall, generally ranges between 50 and 73 pounds.
The dad has a good job. They have real health insurance. That morning that the child died, they had even called their veterinarian to have their dog treated.
The O'Briens also have a 5-year-old daughter.
None of these kids even existed in the eyes of the government. CPS had never been out there. Nobody knew about these kids. They'd not been to school.
Genesee County Prosecutor David Layton says on the day police were at the home in November, the owner of the house stopped by concerned, believing the house was falling into disrepair and the couple wasn't letting him in the house, instead leaving the rents on the porch.
I can't think of what else this is other than extraordinary, terrible neglect. And to me, that's willful and wanton misconduct, which is second-degree murder.
So you can hear there, like, it was a combination of factors that led to the death, but ultimately it is the parents' fault. They never brought him to the doctor. He went to the doctor one time as a 7-year-old, which is insane. And the parents had a good job. The dad had covered health insurance. So there was no excuse to let all of this happen. And then what's crazier yet is they didn't allow him to go to school, I'm assuming because he couldn't even make it there. Like, I don't care what you think about body positivity, like being incapable of doing things, like just playing at a park as a 7-year-old is not healthy, and it shouldn't be something we support or we condone and allow to happen in this life that we live. It's not something that leads to a degree of quality in your life. life. It leads to a regression of quality and ability for you as a human being to be human. Authorities believe that Casper just consumed a steady diet of snack foods, he said. Casper, who was nonverbal and bedridden, had severe bed sores and various rashes. So again, this was a kid, a 7-year-old kid who could not move, didn't make it to school, never learned anything, because instead what he wanted to do was just eat a very poor diet and snack on shitty things. Like, that's the reality. And the parents, whether they were giving this to him intentionally or just not stopping him from doing this, had no wherewithal, right? They had no conceptualization of what is he doing? Why is this bad? You know, hey, our son's been laying down for 14 consecutive days and his body is starting to rot underneath him. We should probably do something about that. The autopsy report said law enforcement and child protective services reported there were piles of trash in the home, and Casper was not enrolled in school. Layton said the hoarding in the home was terrible. And they, in I think the events of all of this happening, lost their 5-year-old daughter, who was then placed in foster care, which it's not like a win, you know, as much as like it's good to get her out of the home. Foster care is diabolical, right? As somebody who had to go through that situation, it is not a fun experience. It is not conducive to like a healthy lifestyle any more than being in a shitty home. Oftentimes, like sometimes you get really lucky here, but majority of the time it's still hard, and you're splitting a child up from their family, and it's never a good situation. And all of this was just initiated by a lack of concern for their health, for their children's health, for their awareness as a group of people to change their lifestyle. And obviously through the pictures, the parents are obese themselves, so like they're doing the same exact thing. Casper last saw a primary care provider in February of 2024. That's insane. More than 2 years ago, when he was diagnosed with a cough, congestion, and metabolic disease. At the visit, he weighed 104 pounds. They said that they gave the mother information on a healthy diet and exercise, according to the report, which said he was referred to a pediatric endocrinologist but never saw one. The fact that he weighed 104 pounds in February of 2024 is insane. To put that into perspective for you, which is like actually disgusting to say, you know, at the time, 6-year-old, 5-year-old child, and then into his 7 years of age, was gaining over a pound per week. It was about a pound and a quarter per week of just fat, of just sitting there, right? Putting on body mass from eating. That is a huge calorie surplus. That is a massive calorie surplus. Typically, you would need to be eating anywhere from 600 to 1,000 extra calories a day, doing literally nothing to burn energy to gain that much per week. And the fact that it happened in such a short period is, again, just complete negligence on the parents' behalf. And people want to sit here and make content like this, you know, as if it's some sort of win, or it's like, you know, the chuds, right? Like the people making all the anti-fat content, we're still beautiful and attractive and sexy. But it's like, no, this is a problem. And it perpetuates behavior like this, where people think it's okay to have obese children. It's not okay. And it is directly correlated. I mean, the thing that blows my mind about with these, like, you know, body positivity creators is that they have this conception that, well, it's fine, I'm healthy, it's all good. Even though we have several decades of research, and we even got research going way back where, you know, ethics weren't so much well in placed on studies done, right? So we would lock people up in cages and give them a restricted diet. And you can see from those studies, like, there's a very clear correlation with the more fat that you have, the less healthy you become. Speaking of which, like, I fully support those metabolic chambers and stuff coming back, to be honest with you. It sounds terrible and Victorian of me, but I think that kind of research was actually really good, and it's unfortunate we have ethics now. But realistically, the way we could bypass that is just by using prisoners, because they're going to be locked in a cell anyways. Why not use them and control their diet? I don't know. There's nothing wrong with my body. Fat is not a dirty word. Hold on. Fat's not a dirty word. You get mad at people for telling you you're fat. That's odd. If my body tells me something, I will make sure it's heard. If my body is a vessel, I will give it what it needs. I will not betray my body. no matter what they think of me. Well, hold on, because that's a bit confusing. You know, your body is a vessel. It's the only thing that you connect yourself, your soul, your experience of life to, and plant it on this earth, right? It's the only thing that you can use as a vehicle to experience things in life. And if your experiences are being limited by your body weight and how much fat you have, I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily treating that vessel or listening to that vessel as best as you can. So let's just do a thought experiment here. If you had to run a mile, right? For whatever particular reason, there's lots of reasons you could think of for needing to run a mile. Maybe you're about to miss a bus, maybe you're about to miss a train, maybe you're about to miss your flight, or maybe you're running for your life. Maybe somebody's threatening you with a weapon and you need to run away as fast as possible. And now your life's ended because you couldn't do that. There's many reasons that your body would indicate to you that, hey, I'm not doing so great. For instance, just doing a simple run, right? How well can you run realistically? Looking like this, obviously not conditioning your body in a way that is conducive to you being healthy, right? Your body is giving you indications that there is something wrong and you're just ignoring them and falling into the cope that your own thought process is right. And obviously everyone else who's telling you anything else is wrong. It's a disgusting misuse and abuse of freedom in America. It really is. I mean, to me, realistically, background story, context, or whatever, you know, my mom was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I don't see this as any different as being an alcoholic. It is a very similar phenotype of disorder where you simply cannot stop doing something. In this case, eating, but in that case, drinking. And the patterns are so similar, it's shocking. And you don't see people going around and saying, we gotta accept alcoholics. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, that like you need to be okay with drinking and the world should let you drink and people just don't understand us. Like we don't see that because it's inherently bad because we have enough data to support it being bad. Yet when it comes to fat, for some reason the data is just obscured and completely ignored and people support it. And I don't fundamentally understand how that is. And the process to not be fat is relatively simple, right? We're not talking about getting shredded here. We're not talking about going from 15% body fat down to 8% body fat. We're talking about getting into healthy norms of body fat and body mass, right? That's a very simple process. It's not eating nothing. It's just eating less. It's not doing a shit ton of workouts and going to the gym 7 times a week. It's like going to the gym 3 times a week, you know? It's like going to the gym a few times per week and then maybe just getting some steps every day, focusing on your movement consistently for a long period of time, trying to get 8 to 10,000 steps a day. Like it's really simple stuff that leads you to awesome outcomes, especially like this. Like going from this body fat percentage to 15 to 16%, maybe 20% body fat is still infinitely healthier than this type of stuff that we're told to accept because, you know, we're just haters and we're prejudiced and all this bullshit. Look, at the end of the day, kids dying over being completely neglected with their nutrition, people allowing this to perpetuate in society, it's not okay. And there's never going to be a world in which it is okay. So let's just end the video by talking about a couple things that, I don't know, you can't do while you're obese because everybody thinks that you have an able body and you're capable of doing whatever you want and being totally normal being obese. I don't know, fit in comfortable chairs, booths, airplane seats, use seat buckles like normal people. Walk long distances without running out of breath or feeling uncomfortable and fatigued. Using stairs easily. Feeling comfortable to climb monuments or castles or like the Great Wall of China, for instance. Exploring areas that are really foundational to human culture. Tie your shoes, trim your toenails, bend over to pick things up from the floor. Suddenly, that becomes an entire task in and of itself. Sit cross-legged on the floor. Defend yourself, right? Reach certain areas of your body for hygiene. Wear some clothing styles and find properly fitting clothes. Doing any form of exercise comfortably. And again, that's a self-perpetuating problem because exercise becomes extremely uncomfortable when you're like this. So you have to build that capability back after losing it. So it creates a far thicker barrier to entry when it relates to getting fit again. Traveling. transfer, emergencies, sleeping comfortably, breathing comfortably while sleeping, maintaining robust energy throughout the day, riding roller coasters, right? Like, holy, like I think about Thailand or like the countries I visit often, getting on simple transportation there. For instance, motorbikes are basically the mode of transportation. You ain't doing that. Swimming in deep, beautiful waters, snorkeling, diving, driving really cool, really fast cars that have very, very tight seating, which I struggle with because I'm a bit taller. So like, I can't imagine. It's just, there's so many downsides. Like if we just take health out of it, which is a glaring issue, and look at the downsides globally, because they want to always talk about how their life is still great. There's so many problems. I'm not even scraping a list that's meaningful here. Just a few things, And it's like all of this could be stopped if you just made simple decisions to change, like simple, non-sacrificial decisions to do things differently. Anyways, that was my slop video for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider liking, commenting, and even potentially subscribing. It does help a lot. I thank you guys for being here so much. I thank everybody who watches, comments, and consistently shows up every single video. You guys mean so much to me. I genuinely appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. By all means, feel free to explore what we have to offer. I'll catch you in the next video.